Hey Ruffles, I've gone ahead and set up my tail so that my servo is travelling beyond the limits of what it can actually do. There we go, it's focusing. I've currently got the gyro in setup mode. You can see the red and blue lights flashing. So at the moment, when I go into the next setting, which is the first of the endpoint settings, it's actually binding. So I'll show you what I mean there. You'll be able to hear the servo buzz. And there's just if you're unsure about what to do, what I'm about to show you will actually basically take all the guesswork out of it, and you'll just be able to make sure you're not doing any damage to your servo or anything. So I'm just going to toggle the gain switch, and that's going to go one way. It's not binding on that side because I got maximum servo throw, and it's not really going to go any further. And then I'll just toggle it once more and you'll hear it buzzing, which is really not ideal, so I'm not going to leave it there for long. Okay, that's not cool. So if you're unsure about which direction you need to move the rudder stick, then to take the guesswork out of it, you can just do this as a quick fix. So if we come back to the tail side, we're just going to take off the ball link. Should have my ball link pliers, but hang on. There we go. So I've removed that ball link, so now that servo can travel as much or as little as it likes. So when I toggle the gain switch, and it's not actually binding. So as the tail slider isn't actually going to limit what that can do. So ideally what we're looking for is the maximum possible throw on that slider. Focus, 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 there you go. The maximum possible throw without that tail binding. So for the time being, we're going to go back into those endpoint adjustments. So I'm going to toggle that gain switch one more time. You can barely see that there, hang on. There we go, there's one endpoint. So I'm just going to bring that right in towards the center, just so I know that no matter what, when I reconnect that ball link, 100% it's not going to bind. So bring that so it's in towards the center, and we'll stop at the center, okay? Now we'll toggle it again. I'm going to bring that right the way across, in towards the center, so that way I know 100%. As I said, when I can reconnect that ball link, I'm going to have basically no throw. I'm going to take this out of setup mode. Back to a solid blue light on the gyro. And when I actually move my rudder stick, you'll see that there's hardly any throw on that servo. But that's okay. That's not a problem, because we're going to actually adjust that back now. The only reason we did this is so we know that there's not going to be any binding on that tail slider, because when we reconnect this, you'll see that that's going to be just about midpoint on the tail slider, and then we can adjust our way out from there. So as you can see, I've reconnected that ball link, and that should be, if you've set up your link length right, and if you've set up your servo horn at 90, then when you reconnect that ball link with that at the center, then this should be roughly at the center of the throw here. Okay, now as you can see, when I move my rudder, there's hardly any throw there at all. That's okay. I'm just going to put this back into setup mode, and we're going to adjust those endpoints out so we've got maximum throw without binding now. Okay, so we're back in setup mode. As you can see, red and blue lights flashing. Servo's at center for the rudder direction adjustment. Now I'm going to toggle that once, and we'll get one endpoint. Now this one, the first one, we want to bring it as far towards the actual rotor hub as we can, the actual tail hub as we can without binding. So we're going to move this across. As you can see, there's a gap there on the right. Move that across, cross, 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 and actually Mine is set up probably incorrectly. I probably need to reset my servo, but that's okay. It's working well for me right now. But as you can see, I've got the maximum possible throw, and there's barely a gap there, so that's okay. There's not binding. I've got maximum possible resolution there. We'll toggle again, and now we want to bring this into the other side without binding. Now I'll show you how we do that. I know this side, if I bring it in too far, sorry about the shoddy camera work, I know if I bring it too far on this side it will bind. So we'll bring it across until we hear a buzz, and then we'll just back it off a tiny bit until there's no more buzzing. So I'll redo that again. So we bring it in until we hear a buzz from the tail servo. Don't worry about that, that's my cyclic servo. They're very noisy, jittery cyclic servos. That's okay, and then we just back it off until it's not buzzing anymore. So bring it in, there it's buzzing, and just back it off a tiny bit, it's not buzzing anymore. And so that way, when we toggle through to when we toggle it once, that's the rudder direction menu, that's the center. Toggle it again, that's the end point that way, no buzzing, no binding. Once more, that's the maximum possible throw that way. So we're all set, and we'll toggle it 3 times to bring us back into head holding mode. There we go, back into head holding mode, and into rate mode gives us our neutral point on the servo. So that's how you can really get this done and make sure you're not going to damage your tail servo. Because from what you were saying to me, if that's buzzing and it's getting hot, then it's binding and it's not right. Okay, and if you follow these instructions and you're still getting problems with binding and buzzing, even when you disconnect this rod, it's probably going to be binding on these little links here, or something's going to be binding somewhere along here. I know yours isn't going to look like this. This is my T-Rex 500. Yours is going to look a little different, just smaller, but it's pretty much going to be the same. Hope this helps, man, and I hope you get your heli up in the air. Good on you.